Hello dear students, in this lesson we are going to talk about angles to solve the problems. We have a few more concepts that we should be aware of so that we can apply and solve questions given with angles. The first property, student, is the linear pair property. Means that if you have a straight line and two adjacent angles are formed on that, they will form 180 degrees. Say this angle is A, other angle is B. So sum of both the angles A and B has to be 180 degree. That's called the linear pair property. Okay. Similarly, when you have a complete revolution, one rotation around a point, that has to be 360 degree. You can notice here, if you just add all the three angles drawn around a point or in just one rotation, they will complete 360 degree. Similarly, there is a concept of vertical angles or vertically opposite angles. Whenever two lines intersect each other, the opposite angles formed are equal. Let's say this angle is A, so this should also be equal to A. At the same time, the other pair we have, suppose this is B, this is also gonna be B. We'll take a few examples, then it will be clear. Let's continue with the first question. You are given a triangle. So ideally you should know that a triangle has three interior angles which add up to 180 degree. Okay, so if you just try to consider that concept, you have just angle E inside the triangle, you have 100 degree. You cannot take 310, students, because that's not the interior angle. The property I told you that add up to 180 degree is within the triangle, means inside the triangle, or interior angles you have to consider. But the problem is here we have an exterior angle. However, students, it's possible to figure out the interior angle, because you know that around this point we have complete one rotation. And you guys know, suppose if this angle is X, for example, students, so at least you got an idea that if you can figure out the value of X, it will be easy to get the value of E as well, right? But how do we get that particular X actually? To get this X, students, you have the concept that if you complete one rotation, that add up to 360 degree. So basically the sum of 310 and X, which form one rotation, they have to be equal to 360 degree. So when you simplify this equation, you subtract 310 from both the sides, and you simply get X equals 50 degree. Once you got this X to be 50 degrees, students, you can replace that into this equation that you have formed. And now the process is simple. You just got the three angles, out of which two are known, one is unknown, and you can easily solve just like we did earlier. We got 150 degree, that's equal to 180 degree. And this is how you subtract 150 from both the sides, and you will get 30 degree. So this is my answer. So remember, angle sum property in a triangle should be applied only with interior angles, not with the exterior angle. Even if the exterior, it's not even exterior angle particularly, it's just an outer angle they given. Exterior angle has something else, I'll explain that later. But for now, you have just an outer angle and you have to get the interior angle. So we can use the 360 degree theory of one rotation. Let's continue to the next example. Here we have a concept of vertical or vertically opposite angles. Again, students, you have 61 degree. This square represents that's 90 degree angle. Now, what's your triangle? Though we have some extended lengths, but we don't focus on that. The triangle, we need to consider it right from here, here, and here. This is my triangle, and I have to be focused in that triangle only. But now the problem is we don't have this interior angle again. We don't have this angle. But you know, guys, that if we have two intersecting lines like that, if one of the angle is, suppose, F, by the theory, we have this angle to be also F. We had to get the value of F actually. We can't get it from outside, but at least we can imagine that to be also F. Why? Because these are the two vertical angles and they are always equal. So that's why we consider this is also F, because within the triangle we got this, and now we are able to apply the angle sum theorem in that. Okay, we just got 151 plus F equals 180. Then you take away 151 from 180, you would get 29 degree. So that's the value of f. No matter you utilize it for the interior angle or even for this outer angle, that's okay. Sorry students, that's 29 degree. Just correct that. Yeah, it's 180 negative 151 will give you 29 degree. Okay students, let's continue to the next example. Now we have two different triangles. Multiple concepts are used in that. You need to figure out value of g. Though you have to get g, but you are not given any other angle in this triangle. However, the second triangle, if you only focus on the second triangle, we got something special, we got something easy to do there. So let us now focus on the second triangle. This is my second triangle in which two angles are given. If I just extract it outside, suppose this is how my triangle looks like, and we are given actually two angles in that triangle, and we'll be able to figure out the third angle very easily in that without any problem. 18, 48, and you guys know that this angle is not given in that, though it seems it's not necessary, but that's how we'll be able to get the other angles in the other triangle. So let's imagine that to be x, for example, and you guys can easily figure out the value of x. You know that sum of the three angles x plus 18 plus 48 will give you 180 degree. So as you simplify this equation, you get 66 here. As you take away 66 from both the sides, you directly get about 114. Yeah, 114 degree. So at least you got the value of x, students. Now if you remember, I told you the property linear pair. When you have two angles, two adjacent angles formed on a straight line like this, if one of them, like both of them actually add up to 180 degree. So let's say this angle is y, students. Okay, so y plus x must form a sum of 180 degree. Y plus x has to be equal to 180 degree according to the linear pair property that I told you at the beginning of the class. Now you already know the value of x, which is 114. So simply you can also get the value of y by taking it away from 180. You get 66 degree. That's my y angle here. Once you know y, students, now you also realize that the initial triangle given here is an isosceles triangle. How do we realize that? Because they given the two slashes lying on the same, like on the two opposite sides. So the two slashes simply means that this line is actually equal to this line. So if it's an isosceles triangle, students, definitely we can consider opposite angles to be also equal. So this is also y actually. Now you can consider y plus g. That's again gonna be equal to 180 degree. Now y you already figured out, 66 and 66. G is still unknown. That's what we can figure out from here. We get 132 plus g equals 180 degree. So when you take away 132 from 180, you will get 48 degree. So that's your final answer for g. I hope it's clear, students. Let's take one more example, students, where we are given some algebraic terms within the angle. Like we are not given actual figures, but we can still get each angle if we apply the same angle sum theorem. The idea is all the three angles should add up to 180 degree. So we are sticking to the same concept, and let us now just put the values into the expression. Now all the terms are like, you know, h, they all are the like terms. They can be added. So 4 plus 2, 6 plus 3 is 9h we have got. It's kind of 9 times h. So we have to divide both the sides by 9. And this is how we get the value of h to be 20. Now remember students, this is not my final answer. Question asks you to get the value of each angle. So basically we need to plug into these expressions. So 2h will be kind of 2 times 20. So that's going to be 40 degree. Similarly, we have to get value of 4h, which is 4 times 20 then, because h is 20 again. That's going to be 80 degree. Similarly, it's 3h, that's going to be 3 times 20, and that becomes 60 degree. And the good thing is, when you add all the three angles together, you can still verify that they will add up to 180 degree. It means whatever we have solved here, that's correct. Okay students, so that's it in this class. See you in the next video.